Have you ever looked at the story of Alice in Wonderland and thought, this needs more hidden stuff? Set in modern day, this version of the story lets us visit the dreamlike world, defeat monsters, help ethereal stags, and dance for rabbit statues. Released in May 2023 on Xbox and PC, developed and published by Coco Cucumber, Ravenlok is a reimagined Alice in Wonderland story in which a girl fulfills a prophecy to save a fairy tale world. Earning a 68 on console and 61 on PC, this game was very well received, with many people loving the art direction, the environment design, and the stylistic twist on established characters. Something I wanted to point out was this was produced by the Canada Media Fund, which supports and promotes Canadian-made media. Why is this relevant, you ask? Well, it just seemed to pop up in a lot of games I was playing recently. They funded titles like The Long Dark, We Happy Few, The Messenger, Outward, and a small, lesser-known game called Dead by Daylight. So, thanks, Canada! While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe for more OK Gaming. This is an action-adventure game with little puzzle aspects and big boss fights. We start off under a willow tree, where we pet our dog Waffles. Get an achievement, then pick a little dog accessory. Could this be the best start to a game ever? Our dad calls us and needs help with some stuff by a moving van. This immediately gives me Pokemon vibes. After a little chatting, we help our mum inside the house, where we see some strange masks and clocks on the wall. A few fetch quests later, and we find ourselves in the barn, cleaning an old mirror. This sucks us in. And we emerge from a flower in a fantasy world. This is Dunia, and it draws heavy inspiration from Alice in Wonderland in a really well-designed way. We fight with a sword and shield, level up our stats, learn new abilities, find collectibles, and help lift a curse that the evil queen has placed on the realm. We name our character in the beginning, but we're known to this world as Ravenlok, the girl with the raven hair who will fulfill the prophecy and defeat the evil queen. Our main goal is to find 3 seals to open the castle gate, where we can find the queen. We visit different areas which all have unique themes and help characters out with different tasks. And once we complete all the quests in the area, we find a seal. If you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, this game sticks close to it in some places and does its own thing in others. This is a really good design choice, as it doesn't become another Wonderland game with the same events occurring as in the book. There are known characters such as the Queen of Hearts, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the Mad Hatter, and the White Rabbit, but they're used in different contexts to the book. The Tweedle twins are arguing over who can make better costumes for their theatre play, and the Hatter is a costume designer. The tea party is hosted by Toppy, a bunny having a meltdown over the Queen's curse making all the food giant. And the Dormouse is a chef who enjoys cooking with strange ingredients. Everything is different enough that it makes you want to play the game just to see where the devs took their version of the story. The art style was a clever blend of voxel and pixel art, with characters and backgrounds mixing up soft edges and in-depth detail with blocky retro game style aesthetics. They went together so well, and one never felt too dominant over the other. The characters were varied and memorable, but I felt the only thing missing was voice acting. There's a fast travel mechanic, which uses the mirrors to link areas. There are also collectible figurines we can find, 18 in all. And the only way we can make them follow us is to do a little dance. This was just perfect and made me laugh every time I found one. If we return them to the collector, we get rewards. An optional but achievement-worthy treat is putting on hats that we discover around the world. This doesn't do anything, but it's always fun to have even the smallest customization. This is a gentle game with no pressure or sense of urgency. We can solve puzzles at our own pace, or just spend time farming XP to level up. The game will only move forward when we complete a quest or defeat a boss. There's just enough story beats for us to keep track of too. So when we find an item that's meant for a different area, we know exactly where it's supposed to go, without having to backtrack through the characters we've met. The quest breadcrumbs are pretty easy to follow, and we have a journal of sorts to help us keep track of everything we're doing. They're not overly informative though, so you'll get the gist of what you need to do, but the rest you'll have to work out on your own. If you're not a fan of fetch quests, you might be really put off this game, as most of the tasks are find this item, give to that person. There are combat and stealth quests, and handfuls of puzzle solving that makes everything up nicely, so you won't constantly be hunting for items. Once we defeat certain bosses, we'll be given new abilities to help us fight enemies, so you're always encouraged to move the story forward in order to try out your new moves. As I mentioned before, you can take this game at your own pace and difficulty level. The pots respawn every time you re-enter an area, so you could take a page out of Link's book and just spend all your time farming coins. The enemies don't level with you, so going to later areas will give you more XP when you fight the trash mobs. Or you could stay in earlier levels and bully sentient mushrooms. Because the story is very simple, it's easy to keep the main objective in mind while you take on all the smaller quests. It can get a little confusing at the beginning, as all the areas can look the same, but you'll get used to them after running around for a while. The boss fights are quite frequent and can be a challenge if you run in unprepared. I played this in Not a Real Gamer mode, of course. But on higher difficulties, you might find the combat closer to Souls-like games, with all the dodging and learning enemy attacks. There isn't so much going on that you might get stressed out. This is the kind of game which you can play for a while, then pick up again later and still know what you're doing. It's around 4 to 5 hours complete, even after getting all the achievements, and you can revisit the areas anytime you want. The boss fights can require a little bump of effort, but if you remember to grab enough bombs and potions, it's not too stressful. The environments are a joy to run around in, and the enemies always have a whimsical twist to them, so even the more menacing monsters aren't too nightmare-inducing. The music is laid back when exploring levels, and orchestral and dramatic through boss fights. The overall feeling the game gives is that there is an overarching danger you have to fight, eventually, but you can take your time and enjoy the world. Nothing is going to suddenly change or go wrong if you choose to look around for a while. Ravenlok is a short but awesome little adventure in a reimagined Wonderland. The characters are likeable, the different areas are well designed, and the art direction is so well done that you don't mind running through the same areas a few times. The puzzles and quests are varied too, with some solutions requiring outside-the-box thinking. The difficulty options make this a replayable game, as you can challenge yourself with each boss by bumping it up a notch or two. The biggest letdowns were no voice acting, and the fact that we only see Waffles at the very beginning. Having a dog as a companion would have been amazing. Overall, definitely worth a play, and I'm so glad I went through the looking glass. This was fun. Let's do it again sometime. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like down below.